A lackluster youth awakens to possess all-element magic in a world of sorcery, pretending to be weak to deceive others, and shames the entire school. Oh, wow, a classic web novel flavor. Let me savor this. The protagonist, Mofan, only because 3 months ago, wearing a necklace given by a mysterious old man, fell asleep in the back hills. Upon waking, his ordinary world had transformed into a world of magic. His school, which once provided 9 years of compulsory education, had turned into a magic academy. Mofan, a normal student until then, was suddenly thrust into learning magic. Despite being in this new world for just 3 months, with everything else remaining unchanged, he couldn't grasp the basics of magic. Studying hard for 3 months wasn't enough to pass the middle school exams. However, Mofan knew well that education was the key to success in either world. His family wasn't wealthy. His father was a driver for the affluent Mu family. To stand out in the future, Mofan had to get into a magic high school. But his preparation was rushed. 3 months was barely enough to understand the fundamentals of magic. After Mofan failed his exam, his father didn't scold him. Instead, he found Mofan a job. Even if he couldn't enter magic high school, he could start working early. But Mofan insisted on pursuing his education in magic. Knowing his scores were far too low, but moved by his son's determination, his father decided to support Mofan's dream. After attending tutoring classes with his best friend, Zhang Xiaohu, Mofan learns from him that the Mu family's daughter, Mu Ningshui, had returned from the capital. However, Mofan didn't care much about it. Passing by the Mu residence, he saw his father pleading with Mu He, the second master of the Mu house, to allow Mofan to attend magic high school. The Mu family, powerful in the locality, could make this possible with just a word. But Mu He, who always looked down on Mofan, even accused him of eloping with Mu Ningshui, which was outrageous. Eventually, Mofan's father traded their old family house for his son's admission opportunity. Mofan knew that even in a world dominated by magic, those at the bottom are still trampled without status or background. Though aware of the truth, his father only shared good news, saying they'd rent out their house and Mofan would board at school. He cautiously mentioned Mu Ningshui's return. Mofan, however, stated that his focus was only on studying, aiming to earn enough to buy a big house and lots of good food for his father and sister, Ye Xinxia. Mofan's relationship with Mu Ningshui, the Mu family's daughter, was also complex. They were childhood friends, and Mu Ningshui disliked the restrictive atmosphere of her home, hoping Mofan would take her away. Once, Mofan took her to the mountains for a break, but they were caught by the Mu family, who accused Mofan of eloping with her, aspiring to rise above his station by attaching himself to their family. In the end, considering the many years Mofan's father had worked for them as a driver, they only warned Mofan to stay away from Mu Ningshui. Due to his father's request, Mofan smoothly entered the magic high school. On the first day of school, students must awaken their magic in front of the whole class. Magic attributes vary in prestige, with fire and ice being the most powerful. Each student has a school badge that changes color according to their magic attribute after awakening. For example, wind is green, fire is red, and light is gold. Mofan noticed his necklace glowing on his chest. Mofan ranked 40th in his class. When the class teacher handed him his badge, Fat Man, a follower of the Mu family, Mu Bai, mocked him, saying everyone knew Mofan had entered through the back door and couldn't possibly have passed the entrance exams on his own. This upset Zhang Xiaohu, who argued with Fat Man, resulting in both being sent to stand in the corner by the teacher. The awakening began, and Mu Bai was the first to go. He awakened the Mu family's hereditary ice attribute. The school badge, besides showing the attribute color, also has 7 stars. Normally, these stars do not light up during awakening. 1 lit star indicates talent in that attribute, and 7 stars indicate a prodigy. Everyone envied Mu Bai. Mu Bai, looking down on Mofan, felt it was a good chance to embarrass him in their shared class. Then, other students awakened their magic. Mofan noticed that besides Mu Bai, no one else had a star light up after their awakening. Soon it was Mofan's turn. People whispered about his backdoor entry and doubted his potential. Mofan placed his hand on the magic stone, and the class teacher worried about the possibility of his failing to awaken, which would be embarrassing since he was already stressed about integrating a transfer student As Mofan closed his eyes, several orbs of light appeared in his mind, with the purple one being the strongest. Mofan was puzzled about what the purple represented when someone in the next class shouted about a student awakening the rare thunder magic, a 1 in 1,000 chance. The whole class rushed to see, leaving Mofan alone during his awakening. The crystal ball in his hands changed colors from a faint purple glow to red. When Mofan opened his eyes, he found himself alone, with the crystal ball burning hot. He wondered why his magic wasn't purple as he first thought. Closing his eyes again, he saw both purple and red orbs. Mofan suspected he might have awakened 2 types of magic as the magic ball alternated between the 2 colors. However, when the class teacher returned, the ball had settled on red. The teacher was thrilled to congratulate Mofan on awakening fire magic, one of the strongest offensive magics. Zhang Xiaohao cheered, while Mubai and his follower, particularly the earlier mocking fat man, frowned, their taunts backfiring. Mofan thought if everyone was surprised by his awakening of fire magic, they would be shocked to know he had also awakened thunder magic earlier. But Mofan knew well that standing out too much could lead to trouble, so he decided to keep his dual magic awakening a secret. He simply wanted to impress others once he mastered his skills. 2 months after the awakening, everything settled down. The class teacher continued the lessons, explaining that everyone has a light orb in their mind after awakening, surrounded by 7 stars. To use magic, one must learn to connect these stars. Mubai, the most talented in the class, had already connected 5 stars, lighting up 5 on his school badge. Lighting up all 7 stars is necessary to use ice magic skills. This only marks 1 advancement. The teacher noted that controlling these stars is challenging, with most classmates only connecting 2 or 3. Mofan, however, remained at 1 star, which led Mubai's follower, Fat Man, to boast again, and other classmates to laugh, suggesting Mofan's backdoor entry was evident even with his strong fire magic, as he couldn't utilize it effectively. But Mofan never mentioned that although he had only connected 1 star with his fire magic, he had reached the 6th star with his thunder magic, always failing at the 7th. Once he could light the 7th star, he would be able to use the basic thunder seal magic. On his way home, Mofan encountered his disabled sister, Ye Xingxia, being harassed by thugs in the park. The gang leader, wanting Ye Xingxia as his girlfriend, stole her wheelchair. Mofan saw these people as scum. The thugs mocked Mofan, saying he couldn't beat them and that Ye Xingxia was lucky to have their attention. Enraged by their vulgar remarks towards Ye Xingxia, Mofan broke through the barrier of the 7th star and struck them with his thunder seal magic. Realizing Mofan was a magician, the thugs immediately begged for mercy, knowing they couldn't contend with a magician. This was Mofan's first time using magic, and he was surprised by its effectiveness. He quickly retrieved the wheelchair and returned it to Ye Xingxia. Although called his sister, Ye Xingxia was actually an adopted child in Mofan's family. Meanwhile, Muhe asked Mubai about Mofan's progress. Mubai reported that Mofan had only awakened 1 star, doubting he could pass the upcoming assessment. Muhe was pleased, seeing this as an opportunity to expel Mofan from the magic high school. He also reminded Mubai to establish a good relationship with Muning Shui, the returning young lady and future heir of the Mu family. During the holiday, Mofan stayed at his aunt's house. His aunt told him his father and uncle had gone out driving, but with the increasing number of demons roaming at night, ordinary people were in great danger. Mofan sighed, realizing the world had not only added a magic system, but also demons that attacked humans. Concerned for his father's safety, Mofan resolved to improve his fire magic, nearly burning himself in the bathtub. After leaving the bathroom, he saw Ye Xingxia pushing her wheelchair, bringing him some snacks. Ye Xingxia watched Mofan eating snacks and asked with some worry. He had awakened his powers only 6 months ago and was already using Thunder Seal magic. Could Mofan have been involved with the Dark Church? This organization had a forbidden technique that allowed its members to level up quickly, but the backlash was severe. To ease Ye Xingxia's concerns, Mofan lied, claiming he had awakened long ago but hadn't told anyone. Ye Xingxia's words made Mofan realize he needed to hide his true power to avoid being wrongfully accused of affiliating with the Dark Church. Therefore, he decided to keep his thunder magic as a life-saving secret, and mainly show his fire magic to others. Mofan planned to focus on improving his fire magic. The next day at school, Mo Fan noticed the boys staring behind him. Turning around, he saw a stunningly beautiful female teacher, Tang Yue, their practical magic instructor who specialized in fire magic. In the class, there were 3 fire magic students. Fat Man mocked Mo Fan for daring to claim he was a fire mage with just 1 star. In front of the class, Tang Yue threw a fireball that incinerated a target, demonstrating that fire magic was the strongest type of elemental magic. Mu He, the elder of the Mu family, approached Mu Bai to discuss whether Mo Fan's grades were bad enough to suggest he withdraw from school. Mu Bai was puzzled by Mu He's focus on Mo Fan and couldn't guarantee that Mo Fan would be expelled, as one needed to be assessed at the lowest D level in the annual evaluation to be expelled. Mu He revealed he had a backup plan and handed Mu Bai a dark stone that absorbed magic. If Mo Fan used this stone during the test, he would surely fail. Mu Bai was concerned that using the same stone for all students would lower everyone's scores. However, Mu He explained that the examiner was under his control and would switch the stone only during Mo Fan's test. Clearly, Mu He wanted to make things difficult for Mo Fan. By now, Mo Fan had advanced his fire magic to 5 stars, but the annual evaluation was only a month and a half away. He aimed to develop a first-tier fire magic attack to disgrace the Mu family, who looked down on him. In the following weeks, Mo Fan trained tirelessly, both day and night. The homeroom teacher advised them about the final exam, explaining that the testing stone, known as the Star Sensing Stone, would classify students from A to D levels based on their magic displayed on the stone. The lowest, D-level mages, would be advised to leave the school. The additional test of releasing magic was challenging for first-year students, but passing it allowed immediate entry into the elite class and access to the Star Magical Weapon, which accelerated training and was highly coveted. Mu Bai was determined to secure this. Before the evaluation, the principal invited the honorary professor Mu Juoyun and his daughter Mu Ningshui, who had been exceptionally admitted to a magic university due to her talent. The students admired Mu Ningshui's aloof demeanor. Some remarked that at 15, she was admitted early to the university, wondering who could be worthy of such an accomplished young woman. Mu Bai, aware of Mu Ningshui's past near elopement with Mo Fan, planned to embarrass Mo Fan in front of her. Meanwhile, Mu Ningshui demonstrated her ice magic, instantly freezing the ground, impressing the onlookers. Subsequently, the whole school was required to take the stage for a magic test. Many were nervous. Fat Man noticed Zhang Xiaoho was scared and teased him about his worries, sarcastically noting that at least Mo Fan would perform worse. Zhang Xiaoho then stepped forward to test, achieving an A level in magical power. He attempted to test a first-tier magic skill release, but got stuck at 7 stars. Fat Man mocked Zhang Xiaoho, questioning his confidence in attempting to release magic. In contrast, instructor Tang Yue comforted Zhang Xiaoho, reassuring him that he was just too nervous and could succeed with a better mindset. Zhang Xiaohu felt embarrassed. Next, Mu Bai tested and was rated S level by the examiner, a level that surpassed the school's highest rating, A level. Mu Bai also attempted the release skill test and achieved a B level as Mu Ningshui, and her father watched him freeze half of a target board with his ice vines. The homeroom teacher remarked that Mu Bai was a decent talent, especially impressive given his 1 year of training, though still modest in front of Mu Ningshui. Then it was Mo Fan's turn. Mu Juoyun was about to leave with Mu Ningshui, but she insisted on staying to watch Mo Fan's test. Mu Juoyun was curious about Mo Fan's progress. Meanwhile, Mu He signaled to a bribed examiner, who subtly sabotaged the magic stone by placing a dark stone beneath it that absorbed magic. Confident Mo Fan stepped forward, only to find his magic did not display. The homeroom teacher panicked, fearing a D-level result would result in a salary deduction and ridicule for a year. Unexpectedly, Mo Fan adjusted and injected his magic again, shattering the dark stone beneath and barely achieving a B level. The class noted that B level was considered average in the school, suggesting Mo Fan had been modest about his abilities. Mu He and Mu Bai exchanged looks of disbelief, suspecting a problem with the dark stone. However, Mu Juoyun still looked down on Mo Fan, deeming his year's training mediocre. The homeroom teacher asked Tang Yue for her opinion. She stepped forward, frowning, and declared there was an issue with the test, insisting it didn't reflect Mo Fan's true level and demanded a retest. People thought Tang Yue meant Mo Fan didn't deserve such a high level, But as a supervising teacher, she took responsibility and asked for a retest. This time, Mo Fan directly achieved an S level. Everyone was astonished, realizing the test problem meant Mo Fan's skills had been underrated. The principal noted Mo Fan's magic was even more brilliant than Mu Bai's, highlighting his great potential. Tang Yue nodded in satisfaction, allowing Mo Fan to step down. Mo Fan then attempted the additional question and casually threw a fireball that lit up the sky, shocking Mu Bai. Mo Fan's release skill reached an A level, surpassing the highly touted Mu Bai. Zhang Xiaohu cheered, celebrating the school's top performance. The principal then asked Mu Juoyun about Mo Fan's past association with the Mu family. Mu He scoffed, saying a driver's son didn't count. But the principal argued that achieving such skill level despite limited resources proved Mo Fan's talent, and hard work made him a promising talent. Mu Juoyun called Mo Fan over, haughtily offering to erase past grievances and presenting him with fire resources as a training gift from the Mu family, suggesting Mo Fan could be considered part of the Mu family if he accepted. Upon hearing this, Mu He quickly started advocating for Mu Bai. Mu Juoyun mentioned that Mu Bai still needed to work hard. Both the homeroom teacher and the principal recommended that Mo Fan join the Mu family. However, Mo Fan countered Mu Juoyun, asking if he was out of his mind for always acting so high and mighty, treating him and his father like the Mu family's dogs at their beck and call. Mo Fan reminded everyone that his father had helped him get into Magic High School by sacrificing their family home. His father had worked for the Mu family for many years, yet they took his property and kicked him out without a second thought. Mo Fan expressed his disinterest in dealing with them, stating that even if Mu Juoyun offered Mu Ningshui to him, complete with a dowry, he would not set foot in the Mu household again. This made Mu Juoyun very angry, while Mu Ningshui smiled upon hearing this. The principal urged Mo Fan to respect his elders and apologize for his rudeness. Mo Fan retorted, pointing out that it seems one must apologize for being rude, recalling how 3 years ago, Mu Juoyun and his men barged into his house, trashed it, and even pushed his father, causing his father to suffer from back problems since then, without ever receiving an apology. Mu Juoyun arrogantly questioned why he should apologize to Mo Fan. Mo Fan rolled his eyes, commenting that it's just about using age and experience as an excuse, noting that if they were the same age, he would have reacted physically. Mu suggested to his older brother to just expel Mo Fan, which the principal would not be happy about since Mo Fan is a talented student. An honor professor can't just expel a promising student, as that would reflect poorly on their school. Mu Bai then stepped forward, stating that elders should not bully the younger ones, and offered to stand in for the elder in a duel. However, Mu Juoyun disagreed, preferring to send his adopted son instead. Due to national regulations prohibiting magicians under 18 from dueling, both parties agreed to a duel in 2 years. Mo Fan was indifferent and stated if he lost, he would apologize as Mu Bai suggested. He then questioned if Mu Bai would dare to apologize to his own father if he lost. Before leaving with Mu Ningshui, Mu Juoyun witnessed Mu Ningshui smiling at Mo Fan. Zhang Xiaohu was worried since Mu Juoyun's adopted son, Yuang, seemed very strong. Mo Fan promised to train hard, aware that the Mu family would give Yuang more resources. While Mo Fan couldn't provide much for his father, he aimed to restore his father's dignity. Subsequently, Mo Fan aced the grade test, entered the top class, and became the top student. Tang Yue continued as the practical teacher of this class. The arrangement for the star magical weapon followed, which is highly valuable and only available to the top 3 students for 3 months. However, due to Mo Fan's confrontation with the honor professor, he was penalized to only 10 days of usage. The star magical weapon must not be returned late or damaged, as any damage could result in expulsion from the Magic Academy and a lifetime ban from becoming a magician. The star magical weapon could double the training speed. Mo Fan, already fast in his dual magic training, speculated that this might be related to a mysterious necklace given to him. Mo Fan and Mu Bai are training in the training room. Mu Bai thinks Mo Fan can only use the star magical weapon for 10 days, while he can use it for 20 days. He believes he will regain the first place after 20 days. Surprisingly, Mo Fan suddenly calls Mu Bai Green Tea Man. Mu Bai becomes furious, but Mo Fan asks him if Yuang, the adopted son, can use the star magical weapon every day. Mu Bai reveals that Yuang previously had only 3 months to use it, but now he's been granted 6 months. Mo Fan mocks the decision, saying even half a year is stingy. Mu Bai explains that the star magical weapon is extremely precious, and many disciples in the family take turns using it. Besides Muning Shui, who has a spirit-class star magical weapon, everyone else must share. It turns out there are different levels of star magical weapons. The school's version only increases training speed by 20%, while the spirit class can increase it by 40%. With that, Yuan could reach the second tier in just 6 months. Hearing this, Mo Fan starts thinking about advancing. That night, while training on the rooftop, the dragon pendant around his neck suddenly swallows the school's star magical weapon. Teacher Tang Yue witnesses this and asks Mo Fan what happened. After inspecting the pendant, she explains it's a rare growth-type star magical weapon. Mo Fan learns that his pendant can absorb soul power around it and might evolve to spirit class. He realizes his fast training pace is due to this pendant. Worried about being silenced by Tang Yue, Mo Fan decides to surrender the pendant. However, Tang Yue shows no greed for it and notes it seems soul-bound to Mo Fan. She advises him to keep it safe and hidden, as it needs a lot of soul power and star magical weapons to evolve into a powerful magical tool. Tang Yue looks forward to seeing Mo Fan's performance in the field and promises to handle the issue of the damaged school star magical weapon. Mo Fan feels fortunate to have such a good teacher. With the pendant's help, he continues training and soon reaches the day of field practice. They are to train at Snow Peak, typically in a safe zone of the city, patrolled 24 hours a day. However, there's no guarantee that all monsters in the nearby mountains and caves are cleared. Some worry about becoming monster fodder, while Mo Fan feels his fire magic becoming restless, suspecting he might soon advance to the second tier. They disembark the bus and meet the training base coach, who announces a bounty. If any of the 100-plus students complete it, all will receive an A grade. Fat Man knows such bounties are usually tackled by seasoned magicians, not high school students. Some consider giving up, but the coach says failing the bounty means failing the training. Their high school is the best in the city, and giving up on a bounty means they wouldn't stand a chance against monsters after graduation. Mo Fan asks if there's a reward for completing the bounty. The coach says he will personally reward a defense artifact worth hundreds of thousands. Mo Fan feels this is tailor-made for him. The students climbed to the peak and discovered a deep abyss below. To quickly cross these mountains, they needed to send someone to jump across and establish a rope. Their eyes fell on Zhang Xiaohu, the boy who could fly. With the aid of wind magic, Zhang Xiaohu jumped to the opposite mountain. Staring at the cliff behind him, he clung to a rock in fear, then quickly tied the rope to a tree, successfully setting it up. After crossing the mountain, the students entered the forest. Mu Bai froze the vines, and another fire magic student burned the remaining vines. It appeared that the class had split into several teams. Mu Bai led one team and Mo Fan another. Both teams met at the den of the one-eyed demon wolf, where they were to find a dropped bracelet. Some complained about the need for a bounty for just a bracelet, while others feared what else might be in the demon wolf's den. Fat Man said, as magicians, their job was to slay demons, and there was nothing to fear. At this time, the deputy came to report to the coach that 2 teams had reached the end point, praising the ice magic of Mu Bai, the fire magic of Zhou Min, and the wind magic of Zhang Xiaohu. The principal then learned that the coach had sent someone to follow the students and assess their performance. The coach confirmed there was indeed something in the den, and this training was meant to be realistic. Tang Yue was worried about Mo Fan and the others facing danger, but the coach assured her that magicians should undergo such trials. Tang Yue knew Mo Fan was capable, but wondered if these inexperienced students could actually use their magic when facing real demons. As the students descended into the basin, Zhang Xiaohu reminded Fat Man not to damage the rope, or they wouldn't be able to get out. A female student asked the fire magic leader Zhou Min if she wasn't scared, but Zhou Min thought scoring high in training was more important for getting into a good university. Mu Bai stepped forward to lead, and the other students followed him. Zhang Xiaohu noticed Mo Fan staring blankly at a pond and rushed over to ask what was wrong. Mo Fan said he had checked the recent weather, and it had rained here. However, the pond was only half full, yet the waterline was still wet. Zhang Xiaohu was confused. Mo Fan was speechless at his cluelessness. This indicated something in the cave had recently come out to drink, consuming a significant amount of water, suggesting it was not small. Zhang Xiaohu was terrified at the possibility of something being in the cave, so he immediately went ahead to inform his teammates. But Fat Man didn't believe it, thinking it was just a reduction in water. Mubai thought Mofan and his team were overreacting and led his team into the cave. As the scouts laughed and walked, their magic lights went out. Relighting them, they suddenly saw a giant wolf appear, causing the students to scatter in panic. Mubai thought he could use his magic, but when the monster stood right in front of him, he lost the concentration to gather his magic and ran out. Zhou Min wanted to take a chance, but was quickly carried out by Mofan. Mofan criticized her for thinking about connecting stars at such a critical moment, noting her speed would have gotten her eaten by the wolf. However, the creature wasn't a demon, but a summoned beast by the instructor. The instructor wanted to see if the students could use magic in emergencies. Tang Yue relaxed upon realizing that using a summoned beast to test the students was a good idea. It was safe and also a challenge, though it seemed no student managed to use their magic, likely costing the instructor his protective charm. Mubai, running last, used his school badge to summon a defense suit and launched ice magic at the demon wolf to cover the retreat of the students, but when they reached the rope, it was gone, and the students panicked. Mofan then put Zhou Min down. Seeing Zhou Min turn back into the cave, she donned her defense suit and attacked the giant wolf with fire magic, which accidentally melted the ice instead. In Genshin Impact, this would cause evaporative damage. Here, it only hit her teammates. Freed, the giant wolf knocked down Mubai and pounced towards Zhou Min. At that moment, a male student with lightning magic paralyzed the wolf. Fat Man wanted to rally everyone to attack, but some were too frightened to approach. The wolf soon broke free from the paralysis. Mubai tried to assist but couldn't gather his magic and fell, unable to get up. Zhou Min stood up but also couldn't muster her magic. Mofan, seeing first-level magic was ineffective, switched to his defense suit and launched a second-level fire attack, driving the giant wolf into a pond with flames. The instructor and Tang Yue were pleased, seeing a student capable of second-level magic. However, the subordinate turned pale as the summoned beast was out of control, which could have been disastrous if it hadn't been merciful earlier. The instructor prepared to rescue. The giant wolf howled below, and the instructor, ready to dive down for the rescue, was joined by Zhang Xiaohu, who helped pull Zhou Min back. Mofan distracted the giant wolf, considering the remaining combatants. The others were unreliable. Only Mubai and two others, who had been knocked out earlier, could be considered. Zhang Xiaohao teleported to rescue Mofan, and they led the giant wolf deeper into the cave. The rescued female student cried, and the others, fearing for their lives, prepared to retreat, refusing to join the rescue. Then the instructor flew down, learning from Zhou Min that Zhang Xiaohou and Mofan had lured the giant wolf into the cave, realizing things had escalated. Tang Yue suspected that the two might encounter problems. At that moment, the giant wolf charged at Mofan and Zhang Xiaohu. Zhang Xiaohao pushed Mofan out of the way but was severely injured by the giant wolf and fell unconscious. "This brother, what a guy," someone commented, although the scene strangely resembled that of a female lead. Angered, Mofan used his lightning magic to paralyze the giant wolf's movements and then targeted a stone pillar above the giant wolf with his fire magic, breaking it. The pillar impaled the giant wolf, which, surprisingly, was still able to run. It nearly collided with Mofan, but collapsed due to severe injuries. A white light emerged from the giant wolf, absorbed by the pendants on Mofan's neck. Mofan immediately rushed to help Zhang Xiaohu. The instructor flew in then, revealed to be a dual magic user of wind and fire. He marveled at the youth's ability after realizing Mofan had slain the giant wolf, and began to analyze how Mofan had managed to do it. Mofan interjected, asking if they could first get medical help for Zhang Xiaohu, who seemed seriously injured. Soon, other students and teachers arrived, and the groups reunited. The giant wolf did not reappear. An assistant thought the instructor had killed it, but he explained he arrived too late, and it was Mofan who had broken the pillar. However, the other teachers and assistants were skeptical that Mofan, a new second-tier magician, could kill a beast likened to a demon. Only then did Mofan learn the giant wolf was a summoned beast. Tang Yue explained it was initially just a drill, but somehow the giant wolf went berserk. Luckily, Mofan and others lured it into the cave, preventing greater casualties. The instructor noted the giant wolf had developed a killer instinct and that eliminating it was necessary, although it was a blow to its owner. The loss was significant, especially since a high school student who hadn't even attended college had dealt the final blow. This deeply affected the assistant. Once others confirmed this, they praised Mofan for his courage and admitted he seemed stronger than Mubai. Tang Yue used this to remind the students that the initial giant wolf had no intent to kill, yet they couldn't use their magic effectively. Real demons would be much more terrifying, and they needed to adapt quickly to combat. The instructor gave A grades to the 4 other participants, and an S grade to Mofan. The assistant reminded the instructor not to forget the rewards for defensive gear, though the instructor felt it was costly. With one examinee passing, the whole class received A grades, leading to cheers. A few days later, the instructor personally awarded Mofan a medal and encouraged him to join him after graduation, promising a prosperous future. Mofan jokingly declined, comparing the offer to something a bandit would say. Privately, the instructor investigated the scene of Mofan's victory over the giant wolf, suspecting he might have other secrets. He discovered traces of lightning, but was interrupted by an assistant reporting that the demon wolf pack was attacking the borders. The instructor promptly led his troops to combat the demons. 2 months after completing practical training, Mofan had stabilized his fire magic at the 2nd tier. He realized that 2nd tier magic was much stronger than 1st tier, and was the only type that could truly damage demons. Therefore, Mofan decided to focus on enhancing his lightning magic, known as the foremost among elements, for potentially greater attack power. Last semester, he had devoted himself entirely to fire magic, but improving his lightning skills wouldn't be easy given his busy schedule. He was determined to increase his training speed, unwilling to see his friends get hurt again. Defeating the giant wolf was purely luck. Without the stone pillar above the wolf, Mofan might have died. Recalling what teacher Tang Yue said, his pendants could evolve with the nourishment of souls and a star magical weapon. Mofan contemplated enhancing his pendants to spiritual device level, potentially increasing his training speed by 40%. Considering the costs, he thought about becoming a demon hunter, which not only offered money but also improved real combat skills. Once decided, Mofan disguised himself and went to the Hunter's Hall, where many were picking up quests. These ranged from high to low difficulty, with prices clearly marked. The military also posted auxiliary missions, one of which was to search the mountains for a wounded but dangerous war-class demon. Hardly any hunter dared accept it. What really made hunters envious was the urban demon hunting team. They worked mostly in the city, had much downtime, and lived comfortably compared to regular hunter magicians. However, this team only recruited elites. Mofan asked a hunter about recruitment for the city team. The hunter pointed to a long line, noting it was tough to get in. He said Mofan, looking young, would hardly be considered unless he specialized in fire magic, which was easier to blend in with. Mofan thought about his school schedule and how the city team would be more convenient for attending classes, though he didn't understand why fire magic was preferable. The man explained that fire magic was in high demand. Even novices might be trained due to its strong offensive power. Curious, Mofan asked about lightning magicians. The man laughed, saying lightning magicians were rare, highly sought after by teams, whether new or experienced. Yet such magicians rarely became hunters, typically supported by family powers. If one were a lightning magician, the city team would definitely take them. Mofan didn't reveal his specialty, and instead joined the queue. Meanwhile, the captain of the city demon hunting team was furious, questioning why every low-level hunter thought they could apply. His subordinate was speechless. Knowing the type of elite talent the captain wanted was extremely rare. Mofan was almost up. Outside, his subordinate sighed heavily. If they couldn't recruit good team members soon, the captain might tear them apart. Meanwhile, the man Mofan had been talking to also joined the line, not really believing he would get the job, just curious about Mofan. At this moment, 2 team members stopped Mofan, saying only mid-level hunters could join here, and Mofan didn't even have a hunter's license. Mofan just asked if they accepted the lightning mages. The 2 exchanged looks, thinking he was joking. Lightning mages were 1 in a million and rarely seen. Mofan then released a lightning magic spell, stunning everyone around. A real lightning mage? Seeing the talent, the captain immediately welcomed Mofan to the team, and even offered to help him get a hunter's license. Mofan gave a fake name, admitting his basic skills were weak. The captain said that didn't matter. Goodness, it's lightning. We'll take him home and train him slowly. Mofan discovered that the team's vice captain, Kai Tang, was the cousin of Muning Shui from the Mu family. He wondered if she recognized him. Before Mofan could get acquainted, guild staff reported a demon sighting in the city. Since he was here, Mofan thought it was a good chance to encounter the demon. So he followed the team to the site, which was the school his sister, Ye Xingxia, attended. It was rumored girls had gone missing there, and he was very worried about Ye Xingxia, especially since he couldn't reach her by phone. The group arrived at the girls' high school. Mofan went to investigate the cafeteria, and just then, Ye Xingxia called back. She had evacuated with the school, but felt something strange was in the school. She saw a weird girl heading to the cafeteria. Mofan entered the cafeteria like a thief and ironically ran into the real thief, the demon, who immediately ignited the cafeteria's gas. Luckily, Mofan reacted quickly and leaped out, avoiding being blown to pieces. Hearing the explosion, other team members rushed to the cafeteria. Realizing he had nowhere to escape, with the monster right in front of him, Mofan prepared to use the defensive magical device the instructor had given him. A teammate conjured a water wall to block the attack. The Wind Mage activated a quick-step spell, impressing Mofan with his casting speed, far better than Zhang Xiaohu. This was a battle-experienced hunter. The captain then unleashed fire magic surrounding the demon. When the demon climbed to the ceiling to hide, the captain used an explosive spell, possibly a third-tier magic, instantly killing the demon. While it wasn't as strong as the wolf demon, it was still a formidable foe. Yet the captain had swiftly defeated it. At this moment, Vice Captain Kai Tang was about to finish off the demon when it suddenly sat up, gravely injured, and attacked Kai Tang. The team's water mage, Xiaoke, was a step late in casting her spell, and Kai Tang's abdomen was slashed. Fortunately, Mofan quickly threw a lightning seal, and Kai Tang's clothes were only torn. The captain scolded Xiaoke, reminding her that as a defensive water mage, she needs to be ready with her skills at all times because any mistake could result in injury or death to the team. The captain was pleased with Mofan's quick reaction and announced that he had passed the evaluation and would be promoted to a full team member. Mofan thought about how becoming a full member meant he could earn a salary and subsidies, which pleased him. At that moment, a white light emerged from the body of the demon that only Mofan could see. It was absorbed by the pendants around Mofan's neck, which he guessed was the soul mentioned by instructor Tang Yue. Another team member reported that they had not found the missing girls, but had discovered a cave behind the cafeteria, suspecting that other creatures might have dragged the girls there. The situation looked grim for the child. Someone suggested going down the cave to rescue, but the captain decided to inform the Magic Association, as the situation with so many demons appearing was not something they could handle alone. As they were leaving, the Magic Association took over the job. The captain complimented Mofan for his quick response and joked about Kai Tang being saved by a hero. However, the Wind Mage mentioned that Mofan had several missed calls from girls on his phone. After leaving the team, Mofan saw Ye Xingxia at a phone booth near his home. She looked worried until she saw Mofan returning and finally relaxed, hugging him. Mofan comforted Ye Xingxia, telling her he had taken care of the demon and made her laugh. Afterwards, Mofan received his first official salary. Meanwhile, at the Mu family, Mu He spoke with Mu Joyun's adopted son, Yu Ang, who was about to advance to the third tier of ice magic. Despite this, Yu Ang felt his power was still insufficient compared to Muning Shui. Mu He advised him not to compare himself to Muning Shui as she was exceptional. Mu He assured him that if Yu Ang could defeat Mofan, Mu Joyun would surely reward him. However, Yu Ang was not interested in this. Mu Joyun told his adopted son that although making Mofan his rival might seem unfair, it was actually paving the way for Yu Ang. With the principal backing Mofan, defeating him would make controlling the city easier in the future. He also wanted Yu Ang to demonstrate overwhelming power in this duel since only one slot for the magic fountain was available, and the school wanted it. If Yu Ang showed great strength, other families and the school could not compete with him. On the other hand, Mu Bai asked Muhe if Mu Joyun truly intended to make Yu Ang the heir. Mu He laughed, stating that the real heir of the Mu family was only Muning Shui, and Yu Ang was merely being raised as a stepping stone for her. Mu Bai now thought Mofan was very strong and worried that Yu Ang might not win, but Mu He was confident that Mofan was no match for Yu Ang. Unbeknownst to everyone, the demon that had escaped became even stronger after devouring a human. Zhang Xiaohu told Mo Fan that Zhou Min, a fire mage, has been paying attention to him recently, suggesting Mo Fan might soon have romantic luck. Just then, Zhou Min approached, and sensing the moment, Zhang Xiaohu tactfully left. Zhou Min asked Mo Fan if he was free that evening. Mo Fan wondered if he had saved Zhou Min during training, causing her to take a liking to him. Despite thinking he should prioritize studying, he verbally agreed to meet her. It turned out Zhou Min had a serious matter to discuss. Her grandmother lived near the suburbs where the ground had started trembling at night, prompting most people to move away. However, her grandmother refused to leave, fearing problems. She sought the help of Mo Fan, the strongest magician in school, to patrol at night during the earthquakes. Mo Fan sneaked into a factory suspected of causing the tremors. Considering his experience as a city demon hunter made him the right person for the job. Meanwhile, Zhou Min arrived through another entrance. Mo Fan pulled out demon tracking powder, exclusive to hunters, revealing the footprints of a demon on the ground before Zhou Min could ask where it came from. Zhou Min was startled and wanted to notify the city hunters. Mo Fan sighed, pointing out he was already there, and what was the point in notifying? Then, a one-eyed wolf demon emerged from a dark corner, noticed by both. Zhou Min felt it was too dangerous for them as students to confront it, especially since the wolf demon was feeding on what appeared to be a local homeless person, treating him like a buffet. This wolf demon was different and much larger than any they had encountered before. Terrified, Zhou Min insisted they leave immediately. Mo Fan noted the wolf hadn't seen them yet and told Zhou Min to evacuate her grandmother and the residents first. He suggested moving away before calling the police. Confused, Zhou Min revealed she had already made the call. Turning around, Mo Fan realized the wolf had spotted them due to the phone call, which attracted the demon like a beacon. As they ran, Mo Fan cast a second-tier fire spell behind them. Although the wolf caught fire, it was relentless. Mo Fan urged Zhou Min to find her grandmother and evacuate the crowd while he stayed behind to cover their escape. When the wolf pursued them again, Mo Fan pushed Zhou Min away to safety. Zhou Min reluctantly went to evacuate the people. Once they were safe, Mo Fan used a defensive magical device to barely block the wolf's direct attack, but the creature was tough to handle. At this time, Zhou Min had evacuated the crowd when members of the city demon hunting team arrived. Specifically, only Kai Tang and Yuang came. Remembering that his teammate had shared his location, Kai Tang hurried to the scene with Yuang, but they only found Mo Fan there. Kai Tang remembered Mo Fan from years ago when, as a young boy, he and other boys sneaked a peek at Kai Tang bathing. Kai Tang had never forgotten this incident. Moreover, Mo Fan had publicly insulted Mu Zhuoyun, the head of the Mu family. Therefore, Kai Tang told Mo Fan to leave immediately. Seeing Mo Fan turn to run, Yuang felt he was not respectable, doubting the news of Mo Fan killing a summoning wolf in real combat. Kai Tang and Yuang froze the giant wolf and quickly called their captain, asking the captain to summon Mo Fan to the scene. Mo Fan had been disguising himself in the demon hunting team, even using a fake name. Kai Tang indicated they needed a thunder mage to immobilize the demon wolf, and Mo Fan had slipped away to change into his disguise to avoid being recognized as a dual thunder and fire mage. When Mo Fan arrived at the scene, other teammates had also reached. The demon wolf was encased in ice. Mo Fan stepped forward and paralyzed the demon wolf again with a thunder seal. The captain hesitated to act, fearing melting the ice. Relying solely on ice and thunder was not sufficient to injure the demon wolf. Thus, he informed the Magic Association, and they could only suppress the demon wolf to prevent it from causing harm nearby. However, before the rescue team arrived, the demon wolf broke free from the ice, approaching evolution to a war-level creature. Once the demon wolf evolved to a war level, they would all be killed by its claws, and they could not evacuate because the main city area with many civilians was right behind them. Seeing the demon wolf grow bone spurs, the captain calmed everyone. It had not fully evolved yet, and they needed to find a way to deal with it, or once the bone spurs fully developed, there would be a bloodbath in the main city area. The team immediately coordinated an attack, but as the demon wolf's blood boiled in its evolution, the bone spurs were about to solidify, and the ice could barely hold it. The captain had no choice but to release a third-tier explosive magic, blasting the demon wolf away. However, this seemed to cause no damage, instead freeing the demon wolf completely. It lunged at them fiercely. Xiaoqi immediately released a water shield to block the attack, but the demon wolf's head pierced through the water shield. Just as Xiaoqi was about to be overwhelmed, Mofan grabbed her by the waist and escaped to the back. This allowed the captain to release fire magic, which was ineffective. Other team members successively tried to stop the demon wolf, but it was futile. After its advancement, the demon wolf went into a frenzy. The captain was thrown against a car and immediately vomited blood. Mofan then stood out, using a second-tier thunder magic to barely suppress the demon wolf. The bone spurs on the demon wolf's back were temporarily pressed back in, but the stimulation of Mofan's thunder whip instead made it adapt to the lightning, causing the bone spurs to grow bigger. Mofan continued to hold the front, while a teammate asked the captain if they should flee. Xiaoqi felt that if they didn't leave soon, they might all die here. Some wanted to flee while Mofan was still holding off the demon wolf, but the captain scolded them for being cowards. Staying might lead to their deaths, but fleeing would endanger the countless residents behind them. Therefore, the captain decided they had to hold their ground. As they desperately fought the demon wolf, rescue personnel from the Magic Association finally arrived. Intermediate-level water magic pushed the demon wolf into the rubble. A young man with black hair used wind magic to slam the demon wolf to the ground. Mofan casually walked over, as the demon wolf's soul was consumed by pendants. Curiously, Mofan asked the black-haired man if both spells were intermediate level. The rescuer nodded and praised Mofan's strength, predicting he would reach his level someday. This rescuer, Mr. Yang, complimented the captain for finding such a talented individual, leaving Mr. Yang envious. Among the group, only Yuang seemed unhappy. Mofan prepared to head back to school, but ran into Zhou Min outside. Relieved to see Mofan unharmed, Zhou Min tearfully hugged him, grateful for his help, since her grandmother had raised her. Without Mofan, she dreaded to think what could have happened if the demon wolf had reached the residential area. Mofan comforted Zhou Min by patting her back. Later, Mofan returned to the rooftop of his dorm. Since pendants had consumed the advanced demon wolf's soul, it seemed to have upgraded. Mofan speculated it might have become a spiritual instrument, which could accelerate his training. Feeling elated, Mofan then took Ye Xingxia for a walk, handing her some money from his recent paycheck. He suggested she buy a new phone to avoid previous communication issues, and some nice clothes for herself. At that moment, Ye Xingxia told Mofan she might have awakened healing magic. Mofan knew healing was considered white magic, and mages typically awaken elemental magic at their level, with black and white dimension magics requiring higher realms, though exceptions existed. Ye Xingxia was one such exception. Mofan had never seen healing magic before, but looked forward to her performance, jokingly asking if he should get some wounds for her to practice on. Ye Xingxia immediately glared at him. Zhang Xiaohu remarked how quickly high school time had passed. Mofan agreed, noting his days were packed with training by day and demon hunting by night. He hadn't told others about the hunting, asking Zhang Xiaohu about his plans for Magic University instead. Zhang Xiaohu said there was no rush, but the duel arranged by Mu Zhuoyun against Mofan was approaching fast. It was set for Yuang's 18th birthday. Zhang Xiaohu worried Mu Zhuoyun might trap Mofan. Throughout high school, Mofan had been the top student, and Mu Zhuoyun likely wanted to publicly defeat him to showcase his foster son's prowess. Mofan figured Mu Zhuoyun would be disappointed. Tang Yue informed Mofan that the principal wanted to see him. Mofan nodded and asked teacher Tang Yue about some issues he had with fire magic. He inquired if he could visit her apartment in the evening to discuss them. Tang Yue agreed, which left Zhang Xiaohu stunned. The principal also revealed Mu Zhuoyun's true intention to Mofan. He was after the quota for the magic spring. Mofan recalled the advanced demon wolf he had previously defeated, which seemed to have advanced due to the aura of the magic spring. If a mage could train inside the spring, they could progress from a beginner to an intermediate level. The principal explained that the magic spring had existed for 1,000 years and could speed up training due to its pure magical power. However, as time passed, the resources began to deplete. Their city had a rule to select only one promising young mage each year for entry, and the school wanted to nominate Mofan. The prestigious families were already eyeing Yuang as the top candidate, meaning the upcoming duel would also affect the quota distribution and serve to reprimand Mofan for his past insolence. Both the principal and the head teacher felt Mofan had little chance of winning, considering Yuang had the backing of the renowned Mu family, giving him the best resources and training. The school had little hope but wanted Mofan to do his best to showcase his abilities in front of the major powers. Even if he lost, it could pave the way for his future. Mofan felt resigned, realizing they had no confidence in him. On the day of Yuang's coming-of-age ceremony, a subordinate heard that Mu Juoyun had invited his former driver, which was essentially a public affront. They discussed Mofan's upcoming duel with the foster son, mocking him as just a punching bag and recalling the scandal of his elopement with Muning Shui, suggesting Mofan didn't understand his place. Meanwhile, Mu Juoyun told his daughter Muning Shui that the ceremony was originally for her, but her talents shouldn't be confined to their small city. Training Yuang was meant to support Muning Shui, but she was unhappy about the public duel. Her father suspected she still had feelings for Mofan and insisted on showing everyone that even the top student from the city's best magic high school was nothing compared to his foster son. Muning Shui was upset and left the Mu residence. Mofan was standing on a hilltop when Muning Shui came to see him after asking Yexingxia for his location. She expressed her concerns for Mofan, urging him to withdraw from the duel with Yuang, fearing he might get seriously injured. Muning Shui warned that Yuang was peculiar and would likely continue to suppress Mofan. With the Magic University entrance exam a month away, she worried Yuang might injure Mofan during the match, preventing him from taking the exam. Despite this, Mofan still planned to go. He countered Muning Shui, pointing out that Mu Juoyun was domineering, always forcing Muning Shui to do things she disliked. Yet he remained her father, making it impossible for her to despise him. Mofan's own father deeply loved him and went to great lengths to support his wishes and ideas. His father, a man of honesty, took care of Yexingxia after her mother left them shortly after remarrying. Despite everything, his father said nothing and continued caring for Yexingxia. Mofan stated that since his father loved him so much, he needed to earn some respect for him. Mu Juoyun had shown no respect for his father, and now, with a public opportunity to turn the tables, Mofan was determined not to back down. Besides, who the clown was had yet to be determined. On the day of the ceremony, Mofan went to the Mu family's place on foot. Many were invited, including Kai Tang and the city's demon hunting team. Mofan greeted his teammates subconsciously, but Kai Tang ignored him and mocked him as just being there to be beaten. Realizing he had forgotten his mask and hat, Mofan quickly made an excuse and slipped away. However, a few other teammates felt Mofan's figure looked familiar. Kai Tang had polarized views of Mofan in and out of the team, praising him as a genius within, but looking down on the usual Mofan. Once at the banquet, Mofan started to eat heartily, deciding to fill up since he was already there. He then ran into the instructor, who still tried to recruit Mofan to join him. Mofan declined, feeling he wasn't up for it. Soon, Mofan noticed many familiar faces, including Zhang Xiaohu, who mentioned seeing Mofan's father on the guest list. Suspecting the Mu family might be plotting something, Mofan felt it was just the right occasion for his father to see him doing well. Mu Juoyun also announced his foster son's future from the stage, explaining that since his daughter, Muning Shui, was developing her career in the capital, Yuang would take over the Mu family in their city. He also announced the duel. The city's demon hunting team captain arrived just in time for the duel. To ensure everyone could see clearly, Mu Juoyun had arranged for a stadium. Some noticed Yuang was wearing at least 3 pieces of protective gear. Mu Juoyun repeatedly praised Yuang, but didn't mention Mofan at all, showing no regard for their school. Fat Man jokingly said Mofan was just there to be beaten, and nobody cared about him. Mu Bai agreed with Fat Man. On the field, Yuang shook hands with Mofan, stating it wasn't easy being his punching bag and that he'd put Mofan in the hospital for 3 months. The referee then started the duel, and Yuang immediately used a second-tier ice spell, which Mofan broke with a first-tier fire spell. Tang Yue commented on Mofan's confidence. Mofan launched a fireball, which Yuang quickly dodged using earth-based magical boots that enhanced his speed. The instructor remarked on Mofan's high hit rate, but noted that Yuang's boots made it hard to hit him. Yuang taunted Mofan as being mediocre and warned that some people were not to be messed with. He then prepared to use a powerful spell, unleashing a third-tier ice spell, impressing onlookers who called Yuang a prodigy. It seemed Mofan was in serious trouble. Subsequently, Mofan's flames seemed to extinguish. The principal urged Mu Juoyun to stop the duel, fearing it could lead to death from prolonged exposure to the cold. However, Mu Juoyun wanted to teach Mofan a lesson, believing that a fire mage couldn't possibly freeze to death. Essentially, he just wanted Mofan to suffer. Others thought it was over since a third tier was up against a second tier. a level many adult mages never reach. In adversity, Mofan mastered third-tier fire control. The ice and snow couldn't even get close to him. Although Yuang believed Mofan's attacks couldn't hit him because of his flying boots, he was caught off guard when Mofan combined third-tier magic with a second-tier explosion, causing a massive blast. As a result, Yuang was blown away by the fire magic, which is among the highest damaging in elemental magic. People were shocked, wondering how Mofan, a grassroots student not from a prestigious family, could match or even seriously injure Yuang, a carefully nurtured disciple. Nevertheless, Yuang got up again. Only his clothes were torn, protected by another layer of defensive magical artifact. It seemed Mujoyun had really invested in winning. Even the instructor condemned Mujoyun for being a bully. Mujoyun stated that if Mofan could get magical artifacts, he wouldn't stop him. Acknowledging that background is also a form of strength, the instructor then stood up, advising Mofan to give up since Yuang's artifact specifically countered Mofan's fire attribute, making further competition meaningless. Yet everyone saw Mofan's talent. At that moment, while Yuang continued to mock Mofan, calling his father a rickshaw puller who couldn't provide anything, Mofan unleashed lightning magic, stunning everyone. My god, Mofan is a dual-element mage. Despite not yet reaching the intermediate level, how could he awaken a second magical attribute? Even the city's demon hunting team was shocked, recognizing their teammate. Kai Tang was confused. Had Mofan been hiding his power for this moment? Now, it was Yuang's turn to be flustered, especially after Mofan declared his lightning was also at the third tier. A single lightning strike shattered the so-called fire-resistant armor, which was helpless against genuinely damaging lightning magic. Mujoyun was utterly baffled. The instructor suddenly realized something. Could Mofan be the legendary-born dual-element mage? Especially since he possessed the strongest combination of lightning and fire, both cultivated to the third tier. This was no longer mere talent. It was legendary. Mofan secretly rejoiced. Today, he was the protagonist,